Hello, and welcome to Artificial Fluency. I'm John, and with me today is my co-host, Emma. Today we're tackling a topic that many of our listeners have asked about: how to navigate English conversations in real-world settings like supermarkets, airports, restaurants, and other everyday situations.
That's right, John. These practical conversations are essential for anyone living in or visiting an English-speaking country. But they can be surprisingly challenging even for learners with good general English skills. Today, we'll explore why that is and provide specific guidance for a variety of common situations.
Over the next 45 minutes, we'll cover everything from shopping for groceries to checking in at airports, ordering at restaurants, asking for directions, and handling unexpected problems that might arise in these situations.
We'll break down the specialized vocabulary, common phrases, and cultural expectations for each setting. Plus, we'll role-play several scenarios to demonstrate how these conversations typically unfold.
And for our listeners who are intermediate to advanced English speakers, we'll also discuss strategies for going beyond basic transactional conversations to engage more deeply with people you meet in these everyday settings.
But first, let's talk about why these seemingly simple encounters can be so challenging for language learners. What makes ordering a coffee or asking for help finding an item in a store difficult, even when you have good general English skills?
I think there are several factors at play. First, these conversations often happen quickly and follow expected patterns that might not be obvious to non-native speakers. There's an unspoken script that native speakers know intuitively.
Exactly. There's also the pressure of holding up the line or inconveniencing others if you're slow to respond or need clarification. That time pressure can make it hard to process language in real time.
And specialized vocabulary is a huge factor. Each setting has its own terminology, like carry-on luggage, self-checkout, or refundable ticket that might not come up in general English courses.
Don't forget regional variations, too. The same item or concept might have different names depending on whether you're in the US, UK, Australia, or another English-speaking country.
Finally, there's the unpredictability factor. You might prepare for a standard interaction, but then something unexpected happens. An item is out of stock, your flight is canceled, or the person helping you has a strong accent, and suddenly you need to improvise.
With all these challenges, it's no wonder many learners feel anxious about these everyday interactions. But with some preparation and practice, they can become much more manageable and even enjoyable opportunities to use your English.
Let's start with one of the most common everyday settings, the supermarket or grocery store. What are some key aspects of navigating this environment in English?
Supermarkets are full of specialized vocabulary, from the names of departments to food items that might not exist in your home country. Let's break down some essential terms you might encounter.
You'll typically find sections like produce for fruits and vegetables, deli for sliced meats and cheeses, bakery, dairy, frozen foods, and canned goods. Each of these has its own specialized items and terminology.
And don't forget the checkout process with terms like paper or plastic for bag choice in the US, loyalty card, coupons, and self-checkout versus express lane.
Let's role-play a typical interaction at a supermarket. I'll play a customer, and Emma, you can be the store employee.
Hi there, can I help you find something?
Yes, I'm looking for whole wheat flour. Could you tell me which aisle it's in?
Sure, that would be in aisle 7 with the baking supplies. While you're there, you might also want to check out our organic section at the end of that aisle. We have some specialty flours there as well.
Great, thank you. One more thing, do you know if you carry gluten-free pasta?
Yes, we do. That would be in aisle 9 in our specialty diet section. We have several brands to choose from.
Thank you for your help.
No problem. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's all. Thanks again.
So that was a fairly straightforward interaction. Notice how I offered additional information beyond what was specifically asked. That's quite common in customer service in English-speaking countries.
Let's try another scenario, this time at checkout. Emma, you'll be the cashier, and I'll be the customer again.
Hi there, did you find everything you were looking for today?
Yes, thank you.
Do you have our rewards card with you?
No, I don't have one.
Would you like to sign up? It only takes a minute and you'll save 10% on today's purchase.
No thanks, not today.
No problem. Your total comes to $47.82. Will that be credit or debit?
Credit, please.
Go ahead and insert your chip when you're ready. Pause. Would you like your receipt in the bag or with you?
In the bag is fine, thanks.
Great. Thanks for shopping with us. Have a good day.
You too. Now let's break down some key phrases from these interactions. First, When asking for help finding items, phrases like, I'm looking for, or could you tell me where to find, work well.
And notice the polite language used throughout. Could you tell me rather than tell me? Adding please and thank you, and the employee asking, can I help you rather than what do you want?
One challenge in supermarkets is describing specific items when you don't know the exact name. In these cases, it helps to know general categories and descriptive terms.
Right, for instance, if you're looking for a specific vegetable you don't know the name of, you might say it's a green leafy vegetable, similar to spinach but with larger leaves.
Another useful strategy is to show a picture on your phone if you're not sure of the English name for an item.
Let's talk about some common problems that might arise in a supermarket and how to handle them.
One common issue is when an item is out of stock. In that case, you might hear something like, I'm sorry, we're out of that right now, or we're currently out of stock, but we should have more by Thursday.
And if you need to return something, phrases like, I'd like to return this, or this item is damaged, expired, are useful to know.
What about self-checkout lanes? Those can be particularly challenging because you're interacting with the machine that may use unfamiliar instructions or terminology.
That's a great point. Self-checkout machines often use commands like place item in the bagging area, unexpected item in bagging area, or approval needed. Understanding these phrases can help reduce stress when using these systems.
Let's also touch on cultural expectations in supermarkets. In many English-speaking countries, it's common to make brief small talk with cashiers, saying things like busy day today, or commenting on the weather.
And queuing or lining up is taken very seriously in places like the UK. Cutting in line is considered extremely rude. And there might be specific lines for different purposes, like express checkout for customers with fewer items.
Before we move on to our next setting, let's address some vocabulary differences between countries. For instance, in the US, you might ask for a shopping cart, while in the UK, you'd ask for a trolley.
Similarly, what Americans call produce, British English speakers might call greengrocery or simply fruit and veg. And an eggplant in American English is an aubergine in British English.
Now that we've covered supermarkets in detail, let's move on to another common but often stressful setting, airports.
Airports can be particularly challenging because they combine time pressure, specialized vocabulary, and the potential for high-stress situations like delayed flights or lost luggage.
There are also places where understanding announcements is crucial. Yet these announcements are often made over PA systems with poor audio quality, making them difficult even for native speakers to understand sometimes.
Let's break down the typical airport journey and the English you need at each stage, starting with check-in.
At check-in, you'll encounter phrases like economy class, business class, boarding pass, check your bags, carry-on luggage, and oversized luggage.
Let's role-play a typical check-in scenario. I'll be the airline agent and John, you'll be the passenger.
Hello?
Good morning, sir. May I see your passport and booking reference, please?
Here you are. I'm flying to Boston today.
Thank you. Yes, I see your reservation. Will you be checking any bags today?
Yes, just this one suitcase.
Could you place it on the scale, please? Pause. That's 23 kilos, which is within our limit. Would you prefer a window or aisle seat?
A window seat, please.
I've assigned you seat 14A, which is a window seat. Your flight will be boarding at gate 22 at 11:30 a.m. Boarding will begin approximately 30 minutes before departure. Here's your boarding pass. Your gate number is printed on it, but please check the departure boards as gate assignments can change.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Your bag will be available on Carousel 3 at Boston Logan Airport. Have a pleasant flight.
After check-in, the next step is usually security, which has its own specialized vocabulary and procedural language.
Yes, at security you'll hear terms like remove your liquids, take off your shoes, empty your pockets, laptop out of the bag, and step through the scanner.
Security officers often give commands rather than polite requests due to the need for efficiency. So don't be surprised by direct language like stand here or arms up.
Let's role-play a typical security interaction. I'll be the security officer this time. Boarding pass and ID, please. Pause. Thank you. Please remove any liquids, electronics, and metal items from your bags. Laptops and tablets need to be in separate bins. Take off your shoes and place them in the bin as well.
Do I need to remove my belt?
Yes, please remove your belt and anything metal. Empty your pockets completely.
Is this bottle of water okay?
No, sir, you can't take liquids over 100 milliliters through security. You'll need to either drink it now or dispose of it in that bin over there.
I'll dispose of it. Thank you.
Once you're ready, step through the scanner with your arms raised above your head.
After security, you'll typically head to your gate, which means navigating the airport and potentially dealing with shops, restaurants, or airport lounges along the way.
This might involve asking for directions with phrases like, "Could you tell me how to get to gate 25?" Or, "Is there a currency exchange near here?"
And of course, understanding airport announcements is crucial. These typically follow standard patterns, like this is the final call for passengers traveling on flight BA142 to London. Please proceed immediately to gate 16.
Or, due to weather conditions, flight A378 to Chicago has been delayed. The new expected departure time is 3:45 p.m. Please check the departure boards for updates.
Let's practice some problem scenarios that might occur at airports, as these can be particularly stressful. Emma, let's say your flight has been canceled. How might you handle that situation?
That's a great example. Let me roleplay approaching an airline service desk after a cancellation. I'll be the passenger and you can be the airline representative. "Excuse me, my flight to Madrid has just been canceled. Could you help me with rebooking options?"
I'm sorry about the cancellation. May I see your boarding pass, please? Pause. Thank you. Let me check what alternatives we have available. Pause. We can rebook you on tomorrow morning's flight at 7 a.m., or there's a flight departing at 9 p.m. tonight with a connection in Frankfurt. Which would you prefer?
The 9 p.m. flight would be better for me. How long is the layover in Frankfurt?
The layover is approximately 2 hours. The connecting flight is with our partner airline, Lufthansa. Would that work for you?
Yes, that sounds fine. Will I need to collect my luggage in Frankfurt?
No, your luggage will be checked through to Madrid. However, you will need to go through security again at Frankfurt Airport. Here's your new boarding pass. The gate information will be updated on the departure boards closer to the departure time.
Thank you for your help.
That's a good example of how to handle a cancellation. Notice the useful phrases like, "Could you help me with rebooking options?" and asking specific questions about the new arrangements.
Another common issue is lost luggage. In that case, phrases like, "My luggage hasn't arrived," "I'd like to report missing baggage," or "When do you expect my bags to be delivered?" would be helpful.
And if you miss a connection, you might need to say something like, "I've missed my connecting flight due to a delay. Can you help me find an alternative?"
Let's also talk about some common airport facilities and how to ask about them. For instance, is there a place to charge my phone nearby, or where can I find the currency exchange?
Or practical needs, like where are the restrooms, toilets. Remember, restrooms in American English, toilets in British English. Is there free Wi-Fi, or how do I access the lounge?
One challenging aspect of airports is that they often employ people from many different backgrounds. So you might encounter various accents and speech patterns, adding another layer of complexity to communication.
A good strategy is to familiarize yourself with key phrases and vocabulary before your trip. And don't be afraid to ask people to repeat themselves if you don't understand something. Most airport staff are used to dealing with international travelers and will be patient.
And remember, in high-stress situations, simple and clear communication is best. Rather than forming complex sentences, stick to direct phrases like "flight canceled," "need new flight to Boston."
Now that we've covered supermarkets and airports in detail, let's take a quick break before moving on to some other common everyday settings where English conversations occur.
Welcome back. In this section, we'll cover some other common real-world settings where English learners need to navigate conversations: restaurants, asking for directions, public transportation, and pharmacies or doctor's offices.
Let's start with restaurants. Like supermarkets and airports, they have their own specialized vocabulary and expected interaction patterns.
Key phrases include, "A table for two, please." "I'd like to make a reservation." "What do you recommend?" "I'll have the..." And "Could I get the check bill, please?"
And there are cultural expectations too, like tipping practices in the US versus Europe, how to signal to a server that you need something, and how formal or informal to be in different types of establishments.
Let's roleplay a brief restaurant interaction. I'll be the server and John, you be the customer. "Hi there, welcome to Riverside Cafe. Just one today?"
Actually, I'm meeting a friend, so a table for two, please.
"No problem. Would you prefer indoor or outdoor seating?"
Outdoor would be nice, if possible.
"Sure thing. Follow me." Pause. "Here you are. Your server will be with you shortly. Enjoy your meal."
Thank you.
Now let's skip ahead to ordering. I'll continue as the server. "Are you ready to order, or do you need a few more minutes?"
I think we're ready. I'll have the grilled salmon with the vegetables instead of rice, if that's possible.
Absolutely. We can do that substitution. "How would you like your salmon cooked?"
Medium, please.
Great choice. And for your friend?
She had the Caesar salad with chicken on the side. Emma, perfect. Any drinks I can get for you?
Perfect. Any drinks I can get for you?
Just water for now. Thanks.
Let's talk about some common challenges in restaurants. One is understanding menu items, especially when they use culinary terms or describe unfamiliar dishes.
In those cases, it's perfectly acceptable to ask the server, what is in this dish? Or, could you describe how this is prepared?
Another challenge might be dietary restrictions. Useful phrases include, I'm allergic to nuts, I'm vegetarian, vegan, or is this dish gluten-free?
And of course, there's the matter of paying, which varies culturally. In the US, you might say, could we get separate checks? While in the UK, you might say, could we pay separately?
Now let's move on to another common need, asking for directions. When you're in an unfamiliar place, being able to understand and follow directions is crucial.
Key phrases include, excuse me, could you tell me how to get to? Is it within walking distance? Which bus train should I take? And how far is it from here?
And when receiving directions, understanding terms like turn left, right, go straight ahead, at the traffic light, across from, and next to is important.
Let's roleplay asking for directions. Emma, you can be a local, and I'll be a tourist. Excuse me, I'm trying to find the National Museum. Is it near here?
Yes, it's not too far. Go straight down this street for about 2 blocks until you reach the big intersection with the traffic lights. Turn right there and the museum will be on your left across from the Central Park. It's about a 10-minute walk.
Is there a bus I could take instead?
Yes, you could take the number 42 bus. There's a bus stop just around the corner. The museum is the 3rd stop and you'll see it from the bus window.
Great, thank you so much for your help.
No problem. Enjoy your visit.
Understanding directions involves not just vocabulary, but also interpreting gestures and sometimes making sense of imprecise information. People might say it's not far when it's actually a 20-minute walk, depending on their perspective.
And directions often include landmarks rather than street names. Like, you'll see a tall red brick building or it's next to the McDonald's.
Let's briefly cover public transportation, which combines elements of both directions and ticketing.
Key phrases for public transport include a single one-way ticket to, is this the right platform for? Does this bus train stop at? And do I need to transfer?
Public transportation can be particularly challenging because it often involves understanding announcements in noisy environments, interpreting maps and schedules, and potentially dealing with disruptions to service.
A useful tip is to use transportation apps that provide real-time information, reducing the need for verbal communication in some cases.
Finally, let's talk about one more important everyday setting, pharmacies and doctor's offices, where health-related vocabulary becomes crucial.
In a pharmacy, you might need phrases like, I need something for a headache, cold, allergies. Is this medication available over the counter? Or do I need a prescription for this?
And at a doctor's office, explaining your symptoms clearly is important. Phrases like, I've been experiencing, the pain is sharp, dull, constant, intermittent, and it started about 3 days ago, are useful.
Let's role-play a brief pharmacy interaction. I'll be the customer, and John, you be the pharmacist. Excuse me, I have a really bad sore throat and some congestion. Could you recommend something?
Of course, are you experiencing any other symptoms like fever or headache?
Yes, I have a slight fever, especially in the evenings.
I'd recommend this combination cold and flu medicine. It will help with the sore throat, congestion, and fever. Take 1 tablet every 6 hours with food. If your symptoms don't improve within 3 to 4 days, you should see a doctor.
Is there anything else I should know about this medication?
It might make you drowsy, so avoid driving or operating heavy machinery. Also, don't take it with alcohol.
Great, I'll take it. Thank you for your help.
Health-related conversations can be particularly stressful because the stakes feel higher. You're dealing with your well-being. It's especially important to ask for clarification if you don't understand something.
And remember that you can often use simple language to describe symptoms. You don't need medical terminology. Saying, my throat hurts when I swallow is perfectly clear.
Now that we've covered specific settings, let's talk about some general strategies for handling English conversations in any real-world context.
One key strategy is preparation. Before you visit a supermarket, airport, restaurant, or doctor's office, familiarize yourself with the specific vocabulary and common phrases used in that setting.
You can find vocabulary lists online, watch YouTube videos of similar interactions, or use language learning apps that have scenario-based lessons.
Another useful approach is to observe before participating. When you enter a new environment, take a moment to watch how others are interacting. What phrases are they using? What seems to be the expected behavior?
Don't underestimate the power of standard phrases in formulaic language. In many everyday situations, interactions follow predictable patterns, with phrases like, could I have, I'd like to, do you have, and where can I find.
And remember that nonverbal communication is important too. In many cultures, a smile, a nod, or pointing can help convey your meaning when words fail.
For situations where communication becomes difficult, having backup strategies is crucial. This might include having key phrases written down, using a translation app, or carrying pictures of items you might need.
Cultural awareness is also important. Understanding expectations around personal space, eye contact, greeting styles, and formality levels can help you navigate social interactions more smoothly.
And finally, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Most people are patient and understanding with language learners, especially in service contexts where the goal is to help you.
Let's summarize what we've covered today. We've explored English conversations in supermarkets, airports, restaurants, asking for directions, using public transportation, and visiting pharmacies.
For each setting, we've discussed key vocabulary, common phrases, cultural expectations, and strategies for handling problems that might arise.
We've also shared general approaches like preparation, observation, using standard phrases, and having backup strategies for when communication becomes challenging. John, the most important thing to remember is that these everyday interactions are not just.
The most important thing to remember is that these everyday interactions are not just obstacles to overcome, they're valuable opportunities to practice your English in meaningful contexts.
Each successful interaction builds your confidence and expands your practical language skills. And even interactions that feel difficult or awkward are learning experiences that help you improve.
We hope this episode has given you practical tools and confidence for navigating English conversations in the real world. If there are other everyday settings you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please let us know.
Thank you for listening to Artificial Fluency. Remember, real-world English isn't about perfection. It's about effective communication and connecting with others. Until next time.
Happy conversing, everyone.